helping you understand how grief and loss works and how it applies to your life in many ways. And the weird thing is, most of us do not realize that almost every one of our problems have an element of grief and loss. But also, there's an element that I talk about, and that is not only the loss of a job or the children grew up or major changes that you wish never happened, but there also is, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a pet. The last 3 years, how many people in my life has graduated and went on to the next level? I've got my brother committed suicide about 3 years ago. My grandmother, 97, she just died, and she was like my mother. And then, of course, my mother had passed. And there's a lot of things happen in our world. And, because I do work on myself, and I'm very um, diligently trying to work on myself, make sure I keep my head clean and with a positive emotional attitude about things. And of course, being an expert of helping people shift and change the grief or the loss or the hurt, I had to pick out some really or discover some really important belief systems that will help us kind of keep our head clean or our life clean. And that is a belief system that I have. And of course, unfortunately, life is always changing. I mean, every day it changes. You can guarantee life changes. Relationships change. People will come in your life, people will go. Jobs will come in, jobs will go. Children will grow up, children will be born, children will grow up, and they will leave. But when we're dealing with the grief or the stages of loss, now this is something somebody came up with, and they noticed that how people progress without any working, basically, with grief and loss. Of course, the first thing, they're going to denial. Oh, it can't be true, they died. That's, we just don't want to, we don't want to admit that. It's hard to believe, it's a shocker, right? And then, of course, the next step is that there's this, you get angry because it happened. They're going to get angry at the doctor, or they get angry at themselves because only if they would have stayed home and drove dad to work. Whatever it is that we do to ourselves, we have a tendency to blame ourselves or get angry at someone else, or it just kind of blows up and wears us out, because we're angry because something happened, we didn't like it, and we're going to blame somebody, or maybe it was somebody's fault. But this anger does eat, it's like a poison within ourselves, and it'll wear us out. And of course, one of the other stages is bartering, I can't even say that word, but you know what I'm talking about. They try to barter with God or barter with somebody else, trying to figure out some way to handle and deal with this craziness that we've experienced with death and losses, and etc. And of course, with all this accumulation, the denial, the anger, the pleading, the begging, depression kicks in because your whole world has shifted and changed. You're really sad because it happened. It's like, how could it happen? Unfortunately, we do know that people die as a part of life, but not certain places, like a child or, an accident or a young person. We just don't like that. But the sad thing is, or the normal thing is, it happens. Everyone has a path, everyone has a purpose, everything happens for a reason. And then, of course, at some point, you got to figure out how to accept this. Well, the biggest difference that makes a difference in my world is knowing how to shift and change what's happening inside of us. And so I shortcut a lot of this stuff, a lot of the steps, and no one gets cheated out of it either. So how does the brain actually process these changes? How does it actually process? Now I'm just talking about the brain operating system. First of all, somehow we discovered they died, either a phone call, or we were there, or an email, or whatever it is, right? And again, knowing what to do with this information. So, and by the way, grief and loss and death is like a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disruption, right? And so it goes inside of us. Now, again, 5 people can experience the death of one person, but all 5 of them translate that whole experience totally different. Some same, some a little bit different. But here's the big difference. It's not the death of whoever died. but rather how we captured this, internalize this, and give our own special meaning to it. That means we hold it inside of us a certain way. We have an idea that's inside of us that affects us. Like, I talk about Eugene. Eugene, you say mother, he gets really sad and almost cries. And of course, I said, "Hey, Eugene, what are you doing inside yourself when I say mother?" And he goes into his mind of, now just remember, grief and loss is a process we do within ourselves, right? We do it inside of ourselves based on our belief systems, our values, and our imprints or the ideas that we hold. So say, what are you seeing inside yourself, Eugene? He says, I see her on the hospital bed with tubes in her mouth and she's gone. And of course, that is not a great way to represent your mother. Granted, it happened. And so, how the brain does, it operates from an imprint to imprint. And of course, we hear the psychologists talk about, you're imprinted the first 7 years of your life, and that's not true. You're imprinted your whole life. And of course, this major event of the death of a mother or a dog or a friend or whatever it is, it's that moment that is in our mind that makes us feel bad. And so, and also the moment is how we personally translate that moment too. It's the meanings we give to it, the value we give to it from inside of us. And so what I did with Eugene, I said, and obviously, he's had his mother for like 50, 60 years, but he only has one snapshot, and that's that one room. And so what I do is I go in, let's clean up how you represent this experience. So we start to release the emotions and the guilt and the shame and anything else that he does to himself about this event. And we got to this point where she's peaceful now. She's okay. She's with God, and he's peaceful inside of himself. And of course, that one snapshot overshadows all the good, loving memories of mom. So then what I would do is let's go back and remember the good times of mom. And I said, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and go remember a good event. And all of a sudden, he's got this smile on his face, and he feels that love in his heart. And I said, I want you to notice something really important, that this memory, this experience is alive inside you. This is a gift from your mother, which means this gift will always be there forever. Anytime you visit, it's there. I said, that's how we want to represent mom. Now, in your mind, just go give her a big hug and thank her for this gift. And then we go to many other memories. We compound the gifts. So today, when we think about mom, or Eugene thinks about mom, he doesn't go to the one day, he goes to many years of gifts from the mother, which means he's honoring her and the loving relationship he had with her, which is alive within himself. And so this is the key to healing. And of course, this is a model or motif that I have created in understanding how to shortcut the misery. So again, the brain operates from internal representations. If you know how to adjust the internal representations, you change you. So I want to invite you to come join me tomorrow. It starts at 12 o'clock Central Time, Oklahoma time, and it's a 3-hour event. I will explain more about grief and loss, and we'll probably have somebody volunteer. We'll kind of work on something and clean it and adjust it. So if you really are ready to move your life forward, let go of the pain and keep the gift. Now, of course, I work with a lot of grief and loss. I understand the system, but there's also the other types of grief and losses, and that is the loss of a job. COVID created a lot of losses in people's lives, not only deaths, but careers, etc. Your children was left. They grew up and they went away. Now you lost a purpose. That's a loss. Your job changed from one job to another. Are you retired? How many people have retired and they died a couple of years later because they had nothing to do with their life? They lost their whole life because of that one great experience of retirement. So there's a lot of different types of losses. And I've been working with people for 25 plus years, helping them change the quality of their life, improving and releasing the pains and hurts of the past. And these two have such a profound effect on your health. Death is a health, they affect your health. It affects all areas of your life. So learning how to heal yourself from inside yourself, to make peace with the changes we didn't want and keep the gift close. And when you do that, your life gets better. So I just want to invite you tomorrow. There's a link down below. Come join us. Come start a new way of life. Come learn trainings with me. I'll change your life. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel, do it now. Keep up with the updates and come see us. We got a live seminar coming up next week here in Oklahoma. It'll be the best thing you ever did for yourself. So come and learn to like yourself, love yourself, and change yourself. This is Robert G. Talk to you later. Peace.